Welcome back. This is Ryuujin Pat, and I'm continuing now with session 2 of my Ryuutama solo roleplay using the Mythic Game Master Emulator and a few other tools. I've gone ahead and created a Ryuujin character for this session. The Ryuujin that I decided to create is a blue Ryuujin, and I named him Demetrius. Now the blue or azure Ryuujin is one whose stories tend to focus more on personal, heartwarming, slice of life type stories. And so I'm hoping that I'll be able to, with the help of this Ryuujin, to steer the tone of my game a little more towards those kinds of themes. But we'll see. The Game Master Emulator kind of has a mind of its own, has its own designs. For an artifact, I've given him what's called the mascot, which will allow him to take an alternative shape and actually join Justinius. His alternate shape is that of rabbit. The benediction that I gave him is the Tale of Kindness. What the Tale of Kindness does is that if Justin should do something for someone without the expectation of reward, he'll get rewarded by the Tale of Kindness by being able to increase his spirit by 1 die size for the rest of the session. And then for his reveal, I've given him Protection of the Dragon. What this will do is allow him to spend 2 of his LP, which are life points. He starts with 3. He'll be able to spend 2 of those to swoop in and take a blow that Justin would take. So if it's a high damage attack or attack that might kill Justin, Demetrius will be able to take that for him at the cost of 2 LP. I went ahead and put the chaos factor back down to a 5 from a 6 that it was, because at the end of last scene, although Justin had been captured by slavers, one of the slavers, named Arcee, is actually planning on releasing the slaves once they get to the central zone, which is where Justin is headed to anyways. Now, maybe Arcee's lying, but it doesn't seem that way, as the other slaves have assured Justin that as long as he plays along, he should be okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and set up a new scene. I just made the Ryuujin, so I want to have Justin meet that character. And so the scene is going to be Justin and all the slaves are getting loaded off of the wagons, and they're busy loading stuff onto the wagons, all the other goods that they're transporting. And there's a mischievous rabbit that Justin meets. Now, of course, I need to roll to see if this is a scene that is altered or interrupted. I got a 4. So that actually means that it is an interrupt scene. So, again, I need to go ahead and create that scene. Alright, so for the event focus, I got 33, which is introduce a new NPC. Interesting. But then the meaning, the action is, we got 69, ruin. 38, ruin a path. Interesting. So what we have for this interrupt scene is ruin a path, and we're introducing a new NPC. So the question is now, who is this NPC and what path is being ruined? Something that just happened is that Arcee told Justin, don't worry, it's going to be okay. So Justin had a path there. A path, figuratively and literally, to the central zone. So this NPC is going to be someone who ruins that path. And so what I'm thinking is some kind of hero-like character who somehow learned about Zenza transporting slaves and has come to liberate them. So, what's this character like? Let's go ahead and start with a name. The Hackmaster Game Master Shield has a name generator in it. So we're going to determine male or female. Male. And the name is Georgios. I'm going to say that Georgios is a type of noble character. Noble being one of the classes in Ryuutama. And he has a bow and arrow, and I'm going to say he would be foolhardy to go at it alone. I'm going to ask the Game Master Emulator a question. Has he brought more than 3 other men with him? I give it a 50-50. So it looks like, yes, he has brought more than 3 men with him. So how many more? We're going to say 3 plus a d4. 3. So he's brought 6 people with him. That's quite a lot. So Justin and the other slaves are busy loading up the wagons, and over the hill a trumpet is sounded and comes riding down Sir Georgios and his fellow brigade of 6 men. Georgios has his bow drawn. He can ride and shoot at the same time, and the other men have their swords drawn and they're yelling. And so I'm going to ask the question of the emulator. I'm going to ask, does Zenza and the bodyguards surrender? And I'm going to say that that's very likely. Chaos factor 5, very likely. And a 50 means that yes, they surrender. I'm going to say Georgios says, throw down your weapons, and of course, we determine they surrendered, so they do. And he says, your evil doing stops here. I don't care what's legal or not in the central zone. Everyone deserves liberty and freedom, and nobody is property. While he continues speaking, his men come and tie up the bodyguards, and Zenza and all the slaves are set free. Their binds are broken. Of course, this presents a problem for RC and the slaves, considering that this was part of their plan. So how would the slaves then respond to this, considering that this interrupts their plan? Perhaps what they would do is one among them would tell Georgios what they were planning to do and see if they would be willing to release RC. So I'm going to say an older gentleman will gain everyone's attention and explain to Georgios that RC was their friend and wanted to help them get to the central zone, and that they were using Zenza to get there. Now, this doesn't seem to make them look particularly good, but I think whatever reason they have to get there, they've obviously gone to great measures to get there safely. So I'm going to ask now the Mythic Game Master Emulator if Georgios takes some kind of pity on them and releases RC. I'm just going to give it a unlikely. So yeah, no, he does not. So at this point, Georgios is going to tell them no, that RC is a part of Sensa's operation, regardless of whether or not his intentions were good, and that he, along with the others, will have to face justice. Georgios does offer, though, to take the newly freed people back with him. I'm going to say at this point, Justin speaks up and says something to the effect of, "We're headed to the Central Zone, and I am going to go there. And if anyone wants to go with me to the Central Zone, I promise that I will help us all get there." And so now these 9 other people, many of them are sad that RC will have to leave them, but they have Justin now, and hopefully Justin is up to the task. And I think he will be. So that's going to conclude that scene. And where does the chaos factor go? So I feel like this is kind of now a going up situation, because they're going to lose a lot of the protection that they had. I'm guessing that while the next few days of travel won't be too dangerous, that there's going to be very dangerous travel as they get closer to the Central Zone. And these people were hoping to have the protection of Zenza and her bodyguards. I think they're going to be allowed to take some of the supplies so they can make their journey. But the rest, I think, would be confiscated. So I'm just going to assume that they have the basic minimums of what they need. Alright. So now with the next scene, I'm going to just go ahead and the next scene is going to be that while Justin is herb gathering, he runs into Demetrius, the rabbit, the Ryuujin in rabbit form. But before I can do that, I need to determine what the topography is, and while I have plains as the type of area, I need to figure out the weather. So let's determine the temperature. The temperature is again average. Alright, the precipitation. We have clear. And then the wind is 88. So there's a light wind. So I'm going to say this is a topography of 6 again. So let's go ahead and go to the next scene. But of course we have to roll to see if it's altered or interrupted. 6. It is in fact interrupted. Alright, so what happens on his way to this scene? Alright, so it is a NPC action. The meaning action is 44. Release. Subject. Release evil. Release evil. So I have an NPC list here. I'm gonna just roll one. 6. So Georgios releases evil. What does that mean? So I'm going to say that this scene kind of happens away from Justin. So what happens is on their way back to the next settlement, Georgios is able to take RC kind of aside. And so while Georgios doesn't believe that RC is of noble character, he does recognize that perhaps Justin and the rest of the liberated people do need his help. And so Giorgio sets Arcee free and says to him, if anyone asks, you managed to escape. And Arcee nods and runs. So I'm going to say that by the time Justin gets back to camp from his herb gathering, he'll find that Arcee's there. So that'll be good. So what's happening now? I'm going to just go ahead and say we had our interrupt scene. Let's go straight to this scene. So herb gathering is strength and intelligence. So I got a 7, which is enough to beat the 6. So he does gather an herb, and as he's gathering herbs, he sees a peculiar rabbit. He's never quite seen a rabbit like this before. It's pure white, and it has what looks like a blue jewel on its forehead. The rabbit seems to follow him around. So Justin says to the rabbit, hey there, little guy, you wouldn't happen to know where sunset heme apples are around here, would you? And the rabbit cocks its head and then seems to shake its head yes and hop along and decides to follow it, and sure enough leads him to a place where there are sunset heme apples. Alright. So now what's the next scene? The next scene is getting on the road. So we're gonna have to make journey checks, and we're gonna make checks to see if there's any random encounters. So I'm gonna lower the chaos factor by 1. 3. So the scene is altered. So how is it altered? Alright. So we ended up with heal, new ideas. Alright. So I'm going to say that here's how this scene is altered. Arcee comes back. There still is a lot of discussion amongst everyone about, just having Arcee isn't going to be enough. While Arcee's a great warrior, having Zenza and all of her resources was supposed to be what we needed to get to the central zone. So we need to come up with some new ideas. Are we going to have enough resources to get there? So there's a lot of debating and arguing and talking, and Arcee is going to be on the side of we need to come up with some kind of new plan, because while we should be able to travel just fine to the next town, we're definitely going to need more resources than we have. So now we're going to do the journey checks. And I'm not going to do journey checks for every character. Oh, I do need to do a condition check, but I need to write down Justin's condition. He has a condition of 6. I'm actually going to roll a condition for Arcee too. So it's spirit and strength. So I'm giving Arcee a 10 strength and 6 spirit. Alright, so Arcee got a 10. Something that happens when you get a 10 or higher condition, you get to increase one of your stats by the next die size up. So Arcee's actually going to now have a D12 strength until his condition goes below 10. Alright, so we have the travel check, which is strength plus dexterity. This is going to be Justin. He only got a 5, which does not meet the 6 needed. So what that actually ends up doing to him is it halves his current hit points. That puts him at 8 hit points. Now let's do RC's. RC only has a D4 dexterity, so, and he passes the travel check. Alright, at this point I'm going to have Justin actually use his healing herbs on himself. He only heals 2 hit points back. Well, better than none. Okay. Now, I want to go ahead and roll at this point. I'm going to say 4 hours have gone by. I'm going to roll for the 8 hours. Oh my gosh, so I got a 1. Meaning there is an encounter. And then I was going to roll a d8 to see at what hour it occurs. So if it occurs from 1 to 4, I'm going to have it occur now and then, so... Okay, so it occurs now. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the Game Master Emulator, is it something dangerous? I'm going to put that at very unlikely. 28, is it something dangerous? I said very unlikely, so it just barely is not something dangerous. So rather than a danger, I'm going to go to the Perilous Wilds to look for a discovery. Alright, what kind of discovery is it? It is 4, which is a natural feature. What kind of natural feature? 5, a terrain change. And a canyon or a valley. So they happen upon a large canyon in the middle of the grassland, like a huge cleave in the ground. So I'm going to ask the emulator, first I want to ask it, is the canyon or valley traversable? Like, could the characters feasibly climb down the end they're on and climb up on the other end? And so I'm going to say that that's a 50-50. And so yeah, it is passable. In order to pass it though, we're going to have to make some kind of check. In the Ryuutama book, it has ideas of checks. So hard exercise, which is strength plus dexterity. I think what I'm going to say happens is characters have to make a strength plus dexterity check to climb down, and on a failure they're going to get an injury, and they have to do a strength plus dexterity check on the way back up. So 2 hard exercise checks, and each check that they fail on the way up will result in losing 2 hit points. I have a total of 11 characters to roll this for. I think I'm going to go ahead and roll it for each one, because I think that'll be interesting. I'm just going to use the topography number, which is 6, to determine how difficult it is to do this. So it should be relatively easy for most characters. Justin and RC are going to volunteer to climb down first. So let's roll RC first. He makes it with a 14. RC makes it down. Alright. Now Justinius also makes it down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, he made a 5, so 1's injured. Another one down, so we got 6 down, 1 with an injury, another with an injury, 1 more to go. Oh, another injury. Okay, so now we're at the bottom, and we got 3 injuries. Justin's like, let me tend to the injured, and he's able to use his first aid ability. So on the first character, hey, I'm able to help that character out. Bandaging up wounds and splinting. 5 did not help that other character. Sorry, wasn't able to help him. The other person... Ooh, I got a fumble. So let's... one of the first things that happens when you get a fumble is you get a fumble point. I'm going to say that the fumble actually causes it to get worse. It doesn't say that it does that in the rules, but... Ah! Yeah, so now the character has a status effect like shock, maybe. And so he's going to only roll 2d4 to get up the hill. Alright. So something that you can do is you can assist other people on their checks, and I think we're gonna do that. Alright, so how helping works is you roll the exact same check, and if you get 5 or greater, you give them +1. So we're gonna help this guy first, the guy that is only rolling 2. Hey, I got a 5, so he's got to get a 6, so +1 on this roll. So hey, he makes it. Alright. Alright, and then Archie's gonna help this guy. Helps him. Alright, so some people got injured and some people took some damage. Now they have to make a direction check. Justin's first gonna see if he can help. He does help. And so then Archie's gonna make the check. Oh, so they actually, on the direction check, they failed. And so that means that they only travel about halfway. So let's set up camp now. So setting up camp, I'm gonna have, so we have to set up camp for several people. I'm gonna split them into 2 groups. So Archie's group, camping is intelligence and dexterity. So he's gotta be a 6. Hey, he makes it. So they camp just fine. Hey, and they make it just fine too. So everybody rests. Everyone recovers hit points. I'm gonna make rolls to see if these people recover their injuries. They have to get a 6. He does not. He does not recover. And we're gonna go into the next day. So the weather might change. So we have to roll new weather. Also too, I want to see if anything happened throughout the night. Let's see. Okay, good. Nothing happened throughout the night. But let's see what the weather is. Right, we have average temperature. We have clear precipitation and clouds. And a light breeze. Alright. So, not much has changed weather-wise. So, the next scene is going to be trying to tend to this wounded person here. How did the last scene end? It ended with chaos. So we're going to raise the chaos factor to 6. So let's see if this scene has changed. So tending to the wounded is the scene. 9. So, okay. So we go ahead and play out that scene. So Justin's going to attempt to help this guy who is wounded. So I only roll a d6 and a d4, so I'm actually going to have Justin focus. Bring his MP from 8 down to 4. He's going to focus on this one, he gets a +1. I need to get a 6 or higher. And I got a 4, 5, I got a 6, so I do succeed. So he gets some relief. And he's only at 4. I did roll a 3 for his condition, so unfortunately he's still affected by the shock. But we still need to press on. I'm also going to do some herb gathering. Alright, 11. That gives us another healing herb. So now we do condition checks. Archie's condition is D10 and D6. Alright, 13. And the condition for Justin is 9, which isn't bad. I'm gonna see if anything happens while they're traveling. 9, nothing's gonna happen. So they should be able to travel just fine. We'll do our travel checks. This is RC's travel check. Trying to beat a 6. Oh, he only gets a 5. So RC actually loses half of his hit points. Alright. And then Justin's travel check. Oh, he got a critical. So what happens when you get a critical on the travel check is you actually get to increase your condition by 1. So now he's up to a 10. And so that'll allow him to increase one of his stats temporarily. I think I'm going to go ahead and do intelligence just to help with finding directions. Alright, and so that's actually the next step, is the direction check. Justin says, hey, let me help finding the directions. RC, of course, is going to try to help. So RC rolls d6s to help. He helps, and he makes it with an 11. Alright, so now we're on the right track. And so now we have to do a camping check. So camping is intelligence and dexterity. So Justin's going to take the lead. Or actually, like I said, we're going to do 2 separate. So Justin's group, they make it just fine. RC's group is intelligence and dexterity. Oh, they critically fail on their camping check. Alright. So camping check, fumble. No recovery occurs and the group suffers a -1 penalty to the next day's condition. Okay. That won't be so bad. Alright, so RC and these 4 here are going to have a -1 to their condition. Now it's the next day. What's the scene for the next day? So where did the chaos factor go? So we made the direction check. They had a bad camp check. I think the chaos factor is going to go down. It's down to 5. So now, what's the next scene? The next scene is going to be tending to the wounded and trying to move on with the day. So I'm going to first roll to see if this character just happens to recover from his injuries. And he does, so he doesn't need much tending. Alright. So let's roll condition now. So RC's condition is -1, whatever I roll. So back to 13. Oh wait, 12 now, because he gets -1. Justin has a condition of only 4, which, yeah, not so great. And they're actually going to travel through swampland now. And let's determine the weather. Okay, the temperature is again average and clear, and there's a deep calm. Alright, but we are in the swamp now, and the swamp has a different topography number compared to the grasslands. So for swamp, it's a difficulty of 10, which is a lot more difficult. So the scene is traveling through the swamp. I'm gonna roll to see if it's altered in any way. 10, it's not altered. So we're traveling through the swamp. I want to see what the chances of running into something in the swamp are. So for a swamp, there's a 5% chance, but you check every 4 hours. So let's see if within the first 4 hours if there's anything. 20, so no. I'm gonna go ahead and check for the next 4 hours. Oh my goodness. Okay, so there will be something the next 4 hours, but the first 4 hours there isn't. So those first 4 hours are going to include herb gathering. Now I got 11, so I'm actually able to gather some herbs, which is nice. Alright, now travel checks. Here's RC. and he just makes a 10. Here's Justin. Awesome, I just made it a 10. Alright, so now I'm going to ask the Game Master Emulator about what we run into. Is it dangerous? We're in a swamp now, so I'm going to say that it is. It's likely to be something dangerous if you run into it in the swamp. Alright. 51, likely to be something dangerous. Yes, it is something dangerous. So now the question is, what is it? So a danger. Let's go ahead and just roll. A 1. It's an unnatural entity. Okay. What kind of unnatural entity? It is a 9. Which is a planar entity. Okay. And another 9, which makes it a lesser demon or horror. Oh goodness. Lesser demon or horror. Maybe we'll roll some of these. So, on the additional details, we'll roll ability. What's its ability? Its ability is roll twice on the table. Okay, so we got 5. And 7. It can mimic and camouflage, and it can dissolve and disintegrate. I think that's enough. So it can mimic and dissolve. I think what we've run into is some sort of demonic ooze. It can take the form of things you'd find in a swamp. It's very good at camouflaging. And what it does is it tries to envelop and dissolve people, or its prey, not necessarily people. So we have a total of 11 characters. I'm going to have one of them be attacked as a way to open the combat. Alright, so one of the group finds himself enveloped in an ooze. He went to go lean on a tree to take a little breather, and that tree wasn't really a tree. It was a horrific ooze monster that enveloped him and tried to dissolve him. Alright, so I'm gonna say that the only combatants are RC and Justin, and then this character is being enveloped by the ooze. So Ryuutama has an ooze. So yeah, slime is a level 3 monster, but I think I want to make this combat more difficult. So what I'm going to do is have there be 2 of them. So I want to see if this character that got enveloped, did he pass his travel check? No, he did not. So what I'm going to say that does is makes him that more susceptible to being dissolved. So we're going to roll a d4 to see how many rounds he can survive before he is dissolved by this slime. So he can only survive 1 round. So we have this round to kill it. Alright. So the first thing we do is roll initiative. Justin rolls these for initiative of 11. RC is rolling his initiative and he's getting 6. So we'll each get to go before the slimes. So Justin will actually get to go first. And of course we're going to try to attack the slime that's enveloping the character. 7 actually hits it. And so we deal a d8 plus 2. Only dealing at 6. Alright, so RC would actually need to get a critical hit in order to get it. This, he definitely hits. Does not get a critical hit. He deals 11 to it though. It's down to 6. Now it's the slime's turn. He's going to dissolve the character. So unfortunately, one of our companions has been eaten. This other one's going to attack, let's see, attacks Justin. and they have D10, D4, 8, 9, 10. Almost, but not enough to hit Justin. So then now we go back to Justin's turn. We're gonna attack again this one. Oh, critical hit. Too late though. And 3, 6, 7, 8 damage. It's been defeated. Alright, Arcee's turn. Attack this other one. Hits for a 9 and deals the damage. Only 2 damage, so it's at 21. Alright, it's gonna continue to attack. Well, let's see. Does it change? I'm gonna say 1 through 4, 5 and 6. 5 and 6 is Arcee. Okay, it does switch. Thinking maybe I can have a better chance of hitting him. And so, and it does hit him, and it deals 6 damage to him. Justin's turn. Justin's gonna attack it. Hits, dealing 5. Arcee hits, deals 8. It's gonna attack Arcee. Oh, fumble. Definitely doesn't hit. Alright, Justin's attack. 8 hits. 10 damage. Alright, takes that one out. So we managed to fight off the slimes. Alright, so we lost a character. I mean, we don't even have a body to bury, so of course there's going to be some kind of eulogy given and talk about how he'll be missed. Let's not make his sacrifice be for nothing, and let's make it to the central zone. And so now we're going to do the direction checks. Arcee's gonna help. He helps. And Justin, I'm actually going to have him focus on this. He didn't need the focus, but it makes it so we're not going to lose our way in the marsh. So we found our way. Now we have a camp check to do. So an NPC helping Arcee helps. And then Arcee's camping check. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He fails. So okay, so he just doesn't recover as much hit points, which is okay. Alright, and then does an NPC help Justinius? Does help. And Justinius, what do we have? Dexterity and intelligence. For his camping check, and he succeeds on his camping check. Now, we have more chances for things to happen. So let's just do 2 more. Nothing. There's definitely more hours in the day than that, but I think that's good, and that's where I'm gonna end things for now. So chaos factor. I mean, we lost a character. I'm gonna say the chaos is going up. Chaos factor is now at 6 again. It's been zigzagging. But yeah, that's this game. Thanks for joining me, and see you on the next session.